I am on today for part 3 in my productivity series that I have been doing this week in this group. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who has been rocking and rolling with me for all 3 parts. If you guys remember, I had asked for a short survey and 2-question survey. I got 30-something responses in the group, 90-something responses outside the group in general population about what people are struggling with and what they need from group coaching. So the first thing I want to touch on while you guys leave your questions in the group, in the comments of this, are the ones that fell under productivity and discipline. I don't know if you can see that. And yes, I grouped them out. So there were 4 top groups, and I just want to address each of the top groups. So the number one thing that people said they were struggling with underneath the topic of productivity and discipline, which was the biggest topic, which is why I am making it which is why I made it the focus for the Find Your Light group, and why we are going to start out with that in the Shine group coaching. Staying focused on my goals and being consistent, consistency, staying consistent, being committed, procrastination, prioritization, discipline, taking action I have on an idea. Okay, here's my thoughts on this. Just a high level overview, and clearly in group coaching, I will drill down more. Discipline is, and I got this wonderful definition from my friend Evelyn, discipline is keeping a promise you made to yourself. Okay, I think his name is Brennan Burchard, post on Instagram this morning, something along the lines of, if you didn't put your best effort for it, then why are you shocked that you are not getting a good result? Like, go ahead and exist with the result that matches up with your effort. And see, we never want to hear that. We want somebody to come along and validate our mess. That's what I wanted. I did not want anybody to scoop me up and tell me truth in love. I didn't want it. I wanted to kind of sit in my victimhood and sit in the stuff that was keeping me back, and have somebody tell me why they were sorry for me, and why the world was coming against me, and why I could not keep promises to myself. But one day, you guys, several years ago, I decided that if I see all these other people out here making it happen, I am no different than them. There must be something different. And what I realized very quickly was it was up here. It was the fact that, one, I was not disciplined. And that meant that I allowed myself to sit back and not keep promises to myself. And I was okay with that. I wasn't okay with the results, but I was okay with that was just it. I decided that was just how I was. I actually identified that as part of who I was. It was part of my identity. I promise this, I do this, I make these big plans and nothing happens, and who cares? Well, you know what? Who cares? I care. I care because the results sucked. And so one of the things that you have to do when you find yourself lacking discipline, and when you find yourself lacking commitment, and when you find yourself lacking, what else did people say? Consistency, is you have to make a decision. That's the first thing. You have to make a decision. I am going to change my behavior. I'm going to change my behavior. And then the next question you have to ask yourself is, what am I going to change it to? Because clearly, if it was that easy of just saying I'm going to change my behavior, then all of us would just do it, right? And here's the kicker. Here's the kicker. You're trying to be consistent. You're trying to be disciplined. You're trying to be committed to something. What is that something? Do you really care? That was a question I had to ask myself. Maybe the reason that you are undisciplined, maybe the reason that you are uncommitted, maybe the reason that you are inconsistent is that you really don't want the thing. Maybe you're not consistent at church because really in your heart of hearts, you could care less about that specific ministry. You don't want to be on a hospitality ministry. And it's hard sometimes for us to admit those real things about ourselves, because we take a lot of our cues on what we are and aren't supposed to be doing from external sources. What our mother tells us, what our boss tells us, what society tells us, and we are not honest with us. So one of the first things I would say to anybody who lacks discipline and commitment and feels unmotivated and procrastinates, which is a whole nother thing. Procrastination is all about instant gratification. You're actually not putting off something. You are giving yourself unearned rewards in the short term. And that's more important to you. I mean, that's just the truth. You have to ask yourself difficult questions. And a lot of discipline and consistency and commitment comes from, one, making a decision to change, and then two, doing some real work to reevaluate your priorities. If these things are even things that belong on your list, do you really care about starting this bakery business, or are you just doing it because people told you that they like your cakes? Do you care about this YouTube channel, or are you just trying to make a bunch of money? And that goes into things like identity work, which is what we begun in the 30-day Mind, Body, Spirit Challenge. And that also goes into things like identifying your why, which is super important, because we will put down a list with a bunch of what's, and we will never research how, and we definitely don't know why we're doing it. We're doing it because my aunt told me we're supposed to be doing it. I'm going to school to get this bachelor's degree because that's what everybody told me that I'm supposed to be doing. But I'm not signing up for any of the things, and I'm not doing it because, do you really want to go to school to get a bachelor's degree? So that's the kind of stuff that I'm going to walk you guys through in group coaching. But that would be what I would say to people who are struggling with that.